What's up, everybody? Clinton Foshee here, and
I'm Albert Chavez.
And this is Front Porch Chronicles. And today we have the man, the myth, the legend, 3-time world champion, 4-time Pan American champion, my brother by another mother, Mr. Otavio Sousa. Thank you so much. We're super stoked to have you on.
It's an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to have the conversation with you guys.
Well, definitely. We talked about we've had a lot of fighters on. We hadn't really had any jiu-jitsu guys on, and we were like, who do we want to have on to really kind of break in? And we both
Am I the first one?
First
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
First
That's
thing
awesome.
we said,
Yeah.
we both said it at the same time. So we were like, this is meant to be, be.
I know. He was telling me every time we bring you up, I always remember the first time I met you, and he's like, do you know what that is? And I was like, I have no idea who. And he's like, dude, this guy, he started showing me your highlights and stuff like that. He's like, this guy, he's a beast. He's so strong, and like you're massive, you're big, but I would never guess that you were like this huge jiu-jitsu person. So you show me your highlights, you're like ragdolling people, taking them out, choking them out. I was like, oh, he's that type of guy. So
I don't think you noticed this, but ever since then, he says sir to you every time. He watched that video, he was like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought. I say,
yeah, so it's fun.
Awesome.
So we want to kind of just take it back a little bit. And so we know you're from Brazil, so we want to kind of get a little bit of understanding how it was about it. So what part of Brazil were you from?
I'm from the northeast. The state is called Pernambuco. And the city, the hometown is Recife.
Okay. Yeah. So what was a normal day like in Pernambuco, in the city of that?
I started to train jiu-jitsu when I was the age of 13 years old. Okay. I had a friend of mine in the school that used to train as well. That's how I got into jiu-jitsu. We used to mess around. He used to show me some moves and stuff, and I got really, how can I say, interesting about learning BJJ, because in the school he was able to defend himself against bigger kids than him, against bullies. And I said, man, I want to learn this as well. I want to be able to defend myself, and that's how I got into jiu-jitsu.
Got you.
And we both went to the academy. I had Gracie Barra school, really close to my house, but before jiu-jitsu, I was so into soccer, and I never paid attention. I didn't even realize we had
this school was
right there, And then I started taking classes, and I fall in love with jiu-jitsu since day one, And I've been very competitive even before jiu-jitsu. I always compete in soccer and swimming and stuff. So I started jiu-jitsu, I started to do the tournaments and do well and stuff, and I've been competing and training since then.
It's a common theme of all of the guys that we've had on. Everybody has a background in soccer. Almost every person that we've had on had some sort of background with soccer, which is crazy.
Big in Brazil. Everybody wants to. Back in the day, I had the dream of becoming a soccer player, But then I started jiu-jitsu and I left soccer aside.
Who was your favorite soccer player?
Romário.
Yeah, it's that or Pele or Ronaldinho. Those are always the guys that come up too. So I know you said you started your training jiu-jitsu, but take it back a little bit more. What was the early childhood memory that you always think of that reminds you that's super funny, that you kind of take back?
It reminds you of the city.
Yeah, it reminds you of the city. Like when you're a kid, what's a funny childhood memory that brings you back to your early childhood?
Oh man, I have great memories, since I started to train. I think in jiu-jitsu, in the academy, I made my best friends and stuff. And I remember that I used to love to travel together with my teammates, to compete and have fun together. I think one of the trips that we took to Rio de Janeiro wasn't even by plane. We kind of rented out a big van.
Oh yeah.
And then we drove all the way to Rio de Janeiro. Our friend of ours ended up driving. Usually the trip it takes 3 days. The guy I don't know how he did, but was 2 days. We made it in 2 days. But I remember it was one of the best trips that we had, because we were like a bunch of like how can I say, athletes. Everybody was with the same mindset. Everybody was going to compete, but throughout the whole trip, we were like messing around with each other, having fun. A lot of them like trying to cut weight. Some people didn't have to worry about weight and like eating in front of us and stuff. So
you're like, no fair.
So what age did you said you started training when you were 13?
I was like 13 years old. Yeah,
it's crazy. So what made you choose Gracie Barra?
To be honest, like was a school close to my house, you know, and then my friend, like, and actually this friend used to train, and another one told me, oh, there's a school like next to your house. Let's come and check it out. This other guy, he used to do judo.
Yeah.
And then we both went together to try our first class. You know? So to be honest, I didn't know about like schools or
allegiance.
So I just went and ended up like to be Gracie Barra, and I've been Gracie Barra since day one, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's always,
I was lucky
to
find the right place. You know?
We're lucky to have you on the squad. It's always funny because when people come to me, they're like, oh, well, we're thinking about doing jiu-jitsu. Well, what do you think about, and I'm not going to drop names, but they'll be like, oh, what do you think about this school? And I'm like, hey, look, I don't endorse anything but Gracie Barra. I usually show them the tattoo, and I'm like, look, it's Gracie Barra or bust for me and my family. Whatever you choose to do is whatever you choose to do, though. So.
Yeah, and I think like Gracie Barra is a great like environment, especially on nowadays. You know, back in the day, we didn't have the structure that we have today. Before, we didn't even have many kids like to train with. You know, I started to train. I was like in the same class as the adults. You know, we didn't have like separation of like a beginner or like advanced students. It was everybody together, you know. Or nowadays is much more structured. You know, we have like kids class. The kids, they start in an early age. We have like kids like 3.5, 4 years old starting jiu-jitsu, you know. And then the whole family ended up training, like, you know, the moms, like the dads and
just
stuff.
like interact too and have fun.
Yes, before was more like the culture was like more the guys that really like to fight, the tough guys and stuff. Or nowadays, that's why our slogan is like jiu-jitsu for everyone, because it can accommodate everybody, even a person that doesn't want to become a world champion. They're there just to, how can I say, to socialize, to make friends, and to get in shape, or different goals, you know.
Protect yourself,
They want to protect themselves, you know. Oh, and people also that they want to take jiu-jitsu more serious. They want to compete. They want to become a world champion. So we have classes, different classes to accommodate everybody.
So back then, did they have like even a belt system, like white, purple, brown, black?
They had like the belts, but back in the day they didn't have like the stripes. So I never, to be honest, back in the day I never got a stripe in my life. The first stripe that I got was in the black belt.
Okay.
You know, nowadays we do have the belt system, which I think is very important to kind of like keep the students, especially the kids, to get like motivated while the journey, you know?
Yeah.
Before they used to wait like too long. Like I used to wait like 2.5, kind of like more or less like in each belt.
3 years, yeah. So going back to originally when you started training at Gracie Barra, which I can only imagine the killers that were there. Who was it that you looked up to when you first started? Who was it that you kind of looked up to or mentored you and kind of took you under their wing and was like, hey?
Man, I was lucky to have like such a tough group like to train with, you know. So I had like many guys like throughout my journey, people that I look up to, like Braulio Stima is one of them. We had this other friend of mine, his name is Luciano Aires. I believe he was the first one from our team to become a world champion as a blue belt.
Oh wow!
You know, but unfortunately back then, like jiu-jitsu wasn't, how can I say, we didn't have much incentive like in order like to compete. Not like it is nowadays. You know, it's became more popular. People now, they make careers like in like, how can I say, just doing jiu-jitsu, competing. Or nowadays, the events grew up a lot, so they get like prize money and stuff. Back in the day, we used to fight like for the love and stuff. We didn't get anything. Was more like spending money, like to be able to participate and to travel around. So unfortunately, a lot of the guys, like good guys, had a lot of potential to to go all the way to the black belt and become really good and stuff. They ended up like, some of them ended up like stopping their journey because sometimes the family didn't support, or jiu-jitsu doesn't give you money.
Yeah.
So they
Don't
had
get
to
a job,
they had to
yeah.
kind of like stop jiu-jitsu and focus on studies and stuff. My parents always supported me like since day one. I'm lucky because of that. But at the same time, my mom always said, hey, you gotta keep studying, you know, have this like as a plan B. You can't stop like studying and stuff.
Yeah. So because I know who were some of the toughest guys back then, like in the gym, like who of the original OGs were back at the gym then that you trained with that are still around now?
Braulio. When I started, I believe he was a blue belt, really close to become like a purple belt. I think when I first started, he was going to fight the Pan American, and already came back and he won the Pan American Championship.
Yeah,
that's when he moved like to the purple belt, and he's been my friend like since then and stuff. I got the opportunity to live with him when I was a brown belt in 2006 in Birmingham in the UK, and then I got to learn a lot from him. So Braulio is one of the guys, one of the toughest guys that I ever trained with, and in my opinion, one of the most technical one. And I'm lucky to have the opportunity to learn from him. Even on nowadays, he came to teach a seminar at my school.
Yeah, I saw just.
And every time we share the mats together, I was like, it's a blast. I was like learn, I always like learn from him.
Yeah, no doubt.
I always love the respect part of it in jiu-jitsu too. Again, I don't do it. I don't train that way, you know, but the commonality to like know that your opponent is able to like, you know, choke you out, wrestle with you, you know, but there's still mutual respect between each other to not want to hurt each other. It's more for like the love of the training, you know, and I've never found that anyone else besides that jiu-jitsu, which is cool to see.
For sure, yeah. It's like we how can I say, we take it professional, at least my part, you know, when I'm going to the tournament, I'm going with the mindset, I'm trying to get the first place, you know. So I mean business when I step on the mats and stuff, but the guy's not my enemy, you know. Like we just like trying to do our best, and like how can I say, it's a sport, you know.
Yeah.
Like to win the fight, but at the end of the day, you know, at least for me, I don't take it personal, you know, he's not my enemy and stuff, you know. I have a lot of guys that I compete with, and we're friends on nowadays, you know.
Right. So I kind of wanted to dive into the competition part of it, but when did you know that you could compete at this high level? Was there something that like you're like, oh, I'm getting really good? Like what drove you to?
I think my first big tournament was the Brazilian Nationals. I competed before the one, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, back then we didn't have like many kids like to compete with. So what I had to do, my professor used to put me like always in a big how can I say, against people that was heavier than me. Right. Sometimes I was a white belt and fighting like yellow belts and stuff. So I had to test myself against like people with more experience, more challenged, you know. So that's how I've been competing like since the beginning. And then, which at the same time was like more challenging, but it made me grow and made me get better, made me get tougher, you know. So, and I had the opportunity to fight the Brazilian Nationals, which is outside our state, which wasn't easy. Like back then I had to kind of like ask my parents like
travel,
to support. We didn't have like as much money like to do that. We had like to trying to find like sponsors, and I was able to do it, and I won, you know. So I can express like the feeling that I had like winning, like traveling with my teammates and had fun together and stuff. And also I accomplished my goal. And after that, like I knew what I wanted. I want to compete more. I want to do that every year and stuff. And I started to compete. Yeah. You get addicted, yes, you know. But since in early age, you know, I think when I first to the Worlds in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, I was yellow belt at the time. But since, like I said, I used to fight like people bigger and different rank than me. My professor, I think, like at the time, like spoke to Massa Carlos. Massa Carlos was the president of the EDCUs on nowadays, to kind of like authorize me to compete as a blue belt juvenile, even though I was a yellow belt.
Yeah.
Back then, like they used to mix like 16 years old with 17 years old, and I was like 15 fighting on this division, you know. I did good. I ended up like losing my first match, but I got this kid was already 17 years old, and like cauliflower. And I could tell like he was tough. But I was like, started the fight. I got a triangle. I managed to sweep the whole fight. I was like with the triangle on. I don't know how he didn't tap, but then eventually he managed to escape, and then he ended up like beating me by points. So I lost by points on the first match. But watching all the fights, and I got the opportunity to see the black belts. Fernando Margarida was the winner of that year. He won his weight division on the open class. And I got amazed how good jiu-jitsu he had and all the other black belts. And I put in my mind, man, one day I wanna become a black belt and I wanna be a world champion, you know. So see, I was still like, man, 15 years old, you know. So but I had this in my mind, you know.
Yeah.
And I kept competing all the other belts. I was fortunate to win in every single belt that I compete with.
Wow.
You know, and then in 2012, I finally accomplished my goal, which like was win like in the black belt division.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's when you won Worlds, was when you...
As a black belt, yes.
Wow. That's crazy.
Before that, I kept hitting the post. You know, my first year was in 2008. I won in 2007 the open class. So I fought with the big guys and I was able to win. I think in 2 days I had like 11 matches like total because I fought my middleweight.
Yeah.
And I fought the open class before, so I had 6 matches. And the next day in the middleweight division, I had 5. So I think was the record. Like for me, I had like 11 fights in 2 days.
Jesus.
You know, and then after that, I ended up getting my black belt. Not after the tournament. My professor waited until the end of the year because we were going to have like a big belt ceremony and stuff. So I got my black belt in the end of 2007. So 2008 was my first year as a black belt, and then I keep hitting the posts. I went to the podium pretty much in all the tournaments that I did. Europeans, I got like 2nd place, and then at the Worlds, I got 3rd. Following year, I got 3rd again, you know, and then I keep hitting the posts until 2012, you know. I persevere and stuff. I was like, man, I have to keep like training hard and stuff. And I knew that like if I keep this path, you know, even though I was like, how can I say, not getting what I wanted on the previous year, but I insist and persevere, and I finally got the result.
And it's cool to have that, because one of the things with jiu-jitsu that is always funny to me is when people don't win.
A lot of
they
people,
either I was training all week with a torn ACL. Bro, you didn't have no torn. You just lost. So the guys that actually say, hey, you know what? I lost, but I'm going to train harder. That's kind of one of the things with you I've always admired is there's never any excuses. There's never any like feel sorry for me or whatever. It's just, hey, like you're always like, what can I do to take the next level? What can I go do to take that next step?
That's something that I always brought like to myself, because that's true what you said. You know, I say even friends of mine, and I see people like sometimes they lose, and instead of like bringing the, how can I say, the problem to yourself and see what can I do better, like what I didn't do that I can do better, like to perform better next time, you know, instead of like saying, oh no, I lost because of the referee, or I lost because of this, or I had an injury. No, I lost because I lost. The guy was better than me that day, but I tried to learn from the mistakes, you know, and then trying to do better next time. You know, I think if you keep that mentality, you know, I think it's easier for you to kind of like find out like the things that you can change, or maybe I wasn't sleeping very good, that I'm gonna try to implement that now on my next camp, or maybe eating better and stuff like this. And there's always room to improvements.
Well, and I think one of the things with jiu-jitsu is it's a lifestyle. And with that, again, you can tell the people that take personal responsibility on the mats in jiu-jitsu are the same way in their life. Like they live that way. And again, that's one of the things with you. Like it's always been like, hey, this is what I can do to get better, instead of, hey, the referee.
Blame somebody.
The referee. Right? It's easy to point.
It's never gonna be you. You're always gonna be like pointing to somebody, and then guess what? You're gonna end up like not getting that.
You never.
You know.
And it never get there.
Because if you think that the problem didn't come from you, and then you're gonna keep doing the same thing and and continue, you know.
Exactly.
It's
It's
a
a cycle.
Yeah.
Look, exactly. Exactly.
So, like during competition or fight week, again, you're preparing for that. We'll talk a little bit about in a minute. Is there something that you do, like a ritual or like some sort of routine that you do to get you in competition mode?
Yes, like how can I say that? Right now, I decided to compete, so now everything I'm taking more serious. Like my how can I say, my diet and like the way that I'm training more intense and try not to make so many mistakes and stuff like in the training and stuff. But I think it's more like the mindset when that I take like going into the tournament. I try not to think about my opponents very much, who is gonna be there. I know that everybody's gonna be tough. Mm-hmm. That is, by every fight is gonna be a challenge,
right.
You know. So I don't focus on how good they are. I try to focus on imposing my game and do the things that I'm good at, you know, because I don't even like to see like the bracket to see who is there and studying some of my opponents. I kind of like watch sometimes, but it's not something that I go crazy studying everybody's game. Otherwise, instead of like focus on the things that you're good, you're going to be focused. I need to watch out for this. I need to watch out for that. And then you ended up not performing well.
Yeah, you're too focused on like how
on their things that they do good, you know? So I try to focus on myself.
And one of the things, that's a good way to take it, because one of the things that I know I used to be the complete opposite, where I would study who was in the bracket, what their game is. And then when I would get into a fight and people change things up. And then when they change things up, you're like, oh crap, wait a minute.
That's what I was expecting.
So then you start mentally, you start overthinking things, and you're like, wait a minute, he wasn't supposed to do that.
And it starts to frustrate you.
It frustrates you. And then it's such a mental game. And so then you get thrown off and you're like, and then next thing you know, you get caught in something and it's over. Because with jiu-jitsu, it's just like MMA, it's just like anything. That one split second that you get caught thinking, boom, it's over with and done, and you got to reset.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that is a ritual. Of course, I'm picking up the intensity and training, doing my conditioning, like preparation as well outside the mats, you know, to get your body strong and how can I say, and be able to handle the tough training, getting your body like bulletproof with the workout and stuff. But I think it's more the mindset, you know, going into the tournament that makes the difference in between other fighters, that they focus too much on their opponents, and then also sometimes some of them, they put too much pressure on them, you know. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh, my student's gonna be watching me, my mom and my friends. I try not to think more of those things, you know, because I go with the mentality that I'm gonna do my best. The outcome we can control, you know.
Right.
The only thing that I control is like doing my best out there, and then only God knows like the results.
I was gonna say that's a Christian. Do you notice that's a common thing? Like that was for me,
surrender.
Not just with jiu-jitsu, but with life. Mm-hmm. Before, I would put way too much pressure on myself. But when you become a Christian and when you take God into your life, it helps with all of those extra pressures, because that's you learn to let go and let God. Mm-hmm. And God's going to put me in the places that I'm supposed to be. All I can do is focus on doing what I can do the best. Mm-hmm. And then whatever happens,
what can I control is like, throughout my preparation, be disciplined and training hard and not skipping practice and those kind of stuff, you know. So I know that when the day of the event, I know that I did my part. I put in the work and stuff, you know. That's our skills and
let's see how it goes.
Yeah. So this way I don't get frustrated if the outcome doesn't go my way. You know, I'll take this as a way to improve and that's all we can do, and move forward and do better next time.
Go there, yeah.
Well,
you know?
with that being said, I know I saw you do a post. I've got to get now. I didn't plan on going to Vegas. I guess I'm gonna have to come August 29th. How excited are you?
I'm super excited to compete again. You know, it's been a couple of years. I believe the last time I compete was in the end of 2021.
Wow.
You know, since I had my daughter, pretty much, you know. Now she's almost 3. So our schedule is getting a little better. Getting a little better.
Get more sleep.
That's the main thing for me, because I wanted to compete. I didn't want to stop, but I think was super hard, like with the sleep. And not only that, like I've been putting my energy a lot also towards my school.
Right.
All these years I'm being like focused on I always gave my best in the classes, teaching and stuff. But I was like focused on on preparing myself to compete. And right now I'm putting all my energy like into the business, into the academy, that I never did that so much, especially because before I used to have like a partner. Now I'm running things on my own, so it's a lot. Like you have like to teach classes. I have like a great team behind me. Like they support me a lot. If I have to travel, they cover my classes and stuff, but I'm there every single day teaching every single classes from the kids to the adults. And then you also have to manage the business and stuff. And to compete, it's a lot. If you're trying to...
That's a lifestyle you have to do.
If you're trying to do everything, it's kind of hard,
Yeah.
That's why I decided to put my time like into the business. The business is going really well and stuff. And now I feel my schedule is getting a little better, And I want to lead by example as well, since I have some of my students competing. They excited to... Some of them... a lot of them already saw me competing many times, but we have new students that is going to compete. They would love to see me compete as well. So I want to like lead by example, and I go there. And that's what I love to do too, like competition. Even though I stopped for a couple of years, competition's in my blood, Even though I'm not competing, I'm always like following the events, watching the fighters, and imagine myself, man, I think I can do good against this guy.
I remember we were eating lunch a while back. We were eating lunch and we were talking about, and you were saying, hey, I really want to eventually get back into competing. And we were, so when you did the post the other day, it popped up and we both follow you. So like it popped up and it was like, it popped up on both of our screens at the same time. And we both went, Otavio just said he's competing. And we were like, and so we were talking about us eating at the Italian restaurant.
Yes, I almost did the adults one, but I decided, since I was at the same time that I feel I had a lot of potential to do good against like a lot of the guys that is being competing on nowadays, I felt that I wasn't training what I needed to in order to compete in the adults division. That's why maybe I decided to stay out of it. But we never know. Maybe next year I try one. I think it's gonna be the oldest like guy competing like in the adult.
I don't think
you can still compete.
I was just gonna say, I don't think it matters. I've trained with you, and I don't think it matters if you're 37 or 57. It's all the same, straight tank.
Are you picking any special guys to help you with training?
To be honest, no. Like I'm training more like pretty much with my students. I have like some good guys like to train with. And I'm taking advantage all these years that I've been competing there with my experience and stuff. I'm just trying to train smart. And I think the big thing, like I said, I think is the mindset going to the tournament.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes the
I'm hyped.
The difference.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
Definitely.
I can't wait.
I hadn't planned on going, but then when I saw that pop up, I already was Googling hotels and looking at. I needed to make a trip to Vegas anyway, but then when that popped up, I was like, that's God just telling me I need to go on August 29th.
I already booked my hotel and everything, and I put my name out there because I already know, like, when I put my name, I like to be the first one, like, to register. So this way I'm like, okay, now there's no way out. My name is already there. Now I have to be focused,
I like it. So I know you've had all these accomplishments, and you mentioned it a little bit. So you have your 3-time world champion, 4-time Pan Am champion. What still motivates you to compete even when you're 37 years old?
Man, I think it's the feeling. It's not even like I wouldn't say like it's just the titles, the adrenaline, and then you're able to control yourself, like control your feelings on that moment, and then when you do well, like I said, I can express like how great you feel. It's addiction.
Oh, when you have those gems rocking, especially you like in the black belt division. I mean, dude, there's like, when you go, you're gonna be shook because I remember going one year to Worlds. It was like 15,000 people, and he was in the finals, and it was just and we were all yelling his name, Gracie Barra, like we were all sitting together. There's nothing that you can do to replicate that.
That's true.
There's just
and every time like gets like to this time of the year before the worlds, and we have a lot of guys like from all over the world. We have a lot of guys like from UK that they came to compete, and they ended up like visiting our school. People from Gracie Barra, we have some good guys as well. And then it always pumped me up because I got to train with them and I feel good. I said, man, why I'm not competing? That gave me like the motivation also like
to get back into it.
Back into it. Yes, I wouldn't say. Of course, the title, like, you know, like the more
cool,
like,
but it's like,
I think it's more the feeling of like stepping on the mat and testing yourself against like high level guys and stuff and see where I'm at. You know,
I love it. Yeah.
So we know becoming a world champion, Pan Am champion is full of adversity, and this is something we kind of harped on. During those hard times of training and all of that, how important is it for you to trust in your faith and share, you being a Christian? Like, how has that changed kind of your perception, and how important is that to you to kind of project out?
Do you mind repeating the question?
Yeah.
Again? Sorry.
So as a Christian, I know your life is very hectic with training, running the gym, all of that. How important is it? I know for me, projecting you and Natalia and your relationship with God it helps me as a Christian to see other people walking in that faith. How important is that for you to kind of put out to people? Do you make a point of that to kind of spread your faith to help other people with their walk with God?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think the more I can spread the word and like they how can I say, they have the same feeling that I have right now. Like now I'm next to God was the decision that I made. I always like had faith and stuff. Since I met Natalia, and maybe a little bit before that, that's when I got really into like, how can I say, religion and accepting Jesus in my life. So I try to spread as much as I can, like the word. So to make people's life better as well, because God is everything to me.
Yeah, and like I said, it's following you and Natalia and your walk with God. It helps because sometimes like we get put in situations or whatever, and when we flip through social media, sometimes even with social media, we flip through and we're seeing people doing things that you're like, So to see, and I'm grateful to you and to her to spread that message and to say, hey, we have faith and we walk with God, because it's important for us to kind of relate to somebody and feel.
Yeah, and we have a lot of like things like to be grateful, like to be alive, like healthy.
Exactly.
Do the things that we love, So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy just to walk the walk when everything's easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, also, I guess I was curious, like when things get tough, like what do you do to make sure your relationship with God is still strong?
Yeah, you got to keep like praying, like, like talking to him and like asking like for strength and like, that's what we can do, and I put my trust in him. And I know even though sometimes we will go through like hard phases, through hard times, this is just going to be a phase, it's going to be temporary.
It's all temporary. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good, the bad,
you
all
talk
of it.
to God and ask for strength, like to overcome that, and everything happens for a reason. Like sometimes you go through something hard, and then that's for your own good,
lesson.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's a lesson and
lesson for you to improve and become better at something.
And I think God, I think that was for me, looking at tough times that I had throughout my life. A lot of times we get caught up sometimes. I used to get caught up in why me? Why did I have to deal with these things or whatever? And it's when you fully submit to God and say, hey, use me in a vessel in whatever way that you need to use me as a vessel, it makes a big difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love seeing the post that you put about your school in Gracie Barra in Huntington Beach, and your professor there sharing a lot of your skills and stuff like that too. What does it mean to you as a professor and also a great human to share that with your students at GBHB.
I try to pass like everything, like the knowledge, everything, all my experience, like to my students. You know, jiu-jitsu like changed my life. Like when I was like a young, like a kid, like I was very shy and stuff, and jiu-jitsu gave me the confidence and stuff. You know, and a lot of other things that I try to pass on. And then it's priceless to see like people, like, how can I say, getting better, like through jiu-jitsu, their lives is getting better, you know, like either like a little kid like getting like confidence and stuff, and then like other people like they have a lot of stress at home or at work, and they come over there. It's kind of like a therapy for them and stuff. So we change people's life like through jiu-jitsu.
When you can tell also that you truly care from the heart, not just about the jiu-jitsu side of it, but you can tell like that you're trying to pass on values.
Yeah, they're my family. I'm pretty much like more than I'm at home. You know, I spend more time with them than anything.
True.
So I consider them like my family as well.
Yeah,
you know, and I have a lot of, thank God, I have a lot of people that care about me and they love me and stuff. And I try to do my best, like to help them out in any way that they need to, and you know.
Yeah. So for someone looking to get into jiu-jitsu, why would Gracie Barra be the school that they should choose? Kind of like how you said before, you chose it because it was, you know, it was next to you.
In my case, I think it was kind of like lucky, you know, I didn't like, how can I say, went to different gyms or anything, you know, but I think
with so many gyms out there now, why should someone choose if they're trying to start out?
Gracie Barra is like a family environment, you know. Like I said, like we focus not only like in a specific like guy that wants to become a world champion. We accommodate everybody, you know. We have a lot of like kids, for example, they have like autism, and they trying to I say, to improve and get better through jiu-jitsu. I even have one kid that I teach like private classes and stuff, and it's awesome to see the improvements, little improvements every class, you know. And I see other academies, like sometimes they focus only on like winning the next tournament, and then they probably those kids sometimes they go to their school and they don't find like a home, you know. They feel like kind of like, how can I say,
pressure.
No, left out a little bit, because the goal is not to accommodate everybody. Is on their competition team and stuff like this. And like I said, we're trying to accommodate everybody with different type of classes and stuff, you know. Even though we have the competition classes where we can put how can I say, push them hard and stuff, but we try to how can I say, help everybody's needs, you know. So if I have like somebody in need, I'm gonna lower the level of the class to accommodate the new student, the one that needs like help and stuff, you know. And that's why we have other classes if you want to really push yourself and stuff. But this one is like focused on the new students, on
development rather than just pushing to the next
exactly
level.
And I think
does that make sense?
No, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it at first. It's family. And it's funny because people say, oh, Gracie Barra, and they talk about competitions, or they talk about, and for me, it wouldn't matter.
Competition is important, but it's not everything.
For me,
it's not
it
everything,
wouldn't matter to me if you've won 50 world championships or you won none and you lost first round every time. Your family to me, and that's how it is throughout the Gracie Barra organization. From top to bottom, it's family and love and respect, as opposed to, hey, look at what we've done, look at what we won, look at these competitions. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So
longevity wise.
Like in between Gracie Barra and a lot of like the schools, you know.
Yeah, it can be, like you said, you put a lot of pressure on yourself too when it's only focused on like the competition. So it's like, may as well just learn the fundamentals, and you're a great teacher, and just being able to like relate that, since you are at a top level, relating it to like the lower fundamental levels it's crucial for everyone to want to eventually get to do it, because that's what inspired you to do it. It's because you had so much patience. Someone took you under their wing and said, hey, like, this is the opportunity you can get, and then eventually they can compete at a higher level down the road rather than just forcing it.
And the foundation, the basics is everything, you know.
Yeah.
Like you having a good foundation, and then for you to learn like a more advanced technique and stuff is so much easier, you know.
So I know you talked about it, but do you think Julia's going to train eventually with you?
For sure, she loves to be in the academy. You know, she already does the warm up on the outside, even though she doesn't step on the mats yet. I'm not gonna put any pressure on her, of course, but I guess she already talk about. You know, she already knows how to do a double leg.
She is the athlete. I tell Natalia all the time. I messaged her the other day, and especially now that we're learning Portuguese, to be able to kind of understand what Julia's saying. She is the cutest. Like I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Yeah.
So speaking of being a father, and I know we talked about how that changed your life kind of and added a different dynamic to it. What is the one trait or thing that you want to pass down to Julia as a father down to his daughter?
I definitely want to introduce like jiu-jitsu into her life, like take in consideration all the good things that jiu-jitsu did for me. So and I want her like to experience like that environment, the family environment that we have. She already loves over there. Everybody like loves to be around her, like, and taking care of her and stuff. So I want her to grow on that like amazing environment that we have, like making good friends. Like I mentioned, I made like some of my best friends was like made in jiu-jitsu, and I want that for her as well.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a lifestyle.
Yes, the lifestyle, yeah. But of course, like nothing like, it's not because I compete my whole life that I want that for her. That's gonna be the decision she's gonna make. Of course, I'm gonna give a little the incentive, you know. But yeah, I believe like on that age is more like an introduction like to jiu-jitsu and stuff, you know.
See if she likes it.
I see a lot of parents nowadays sometimes like because jiu-jitsu is growing, there's the tournaments and people get so into like the tournaments and they pressure their kids like to compete pretty much every single weekend, and they burn out. It get to a point that they don't get to be a kid. They just like competing and stuff, and they get burned out, you know, because tournament is good. But at the same time, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of like, how can I say, the adrenaline and stuff is good because you learn to control those feelings. But if you put too much pressure and then you compete all the time and stuff, you're going to get to a point that you don't want to do it anymore. You're going to get burned out and stuff. And I believe jiu-jitsu is for the whole life. So I think the idea, especially in a young age, is more for them to like an introduction to jiu-jitsu, and most important, like to step on the mats and have fun with everybody, socialize and interact with the other kids, you know. And then when she gets bigger, then she can like make the decisions if that's what she wants or not and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I hate going to the competitions and like some of the parents, it's like, bro.
And the funny part is they put so much pressure and they don't know how hard it is, like to control those feelings and deal with a loss. And they on the outside yelling, or sometimes like not yelling in my academy because we don't allow like them. Like sometimes you have to talk to the parents. Hey, no coaching from the outside and stuff. And thank God everybody is very respectful and stuff. In the beginning, we had to be very strict regarding to that. Otherwise, like imagining like one start to scream against the other kid, and the other dad is gonna be screaming.
When you go to the bigger,
so it's gonna be a war.
Yeah,
you know. And I can teach my class. You know? But everybody like is very respectful. They respect that, but they don't understand how hard it is for them to. They doing the best, you know. And if you bring that pressure, it become not to being fun. You know, they are there to have fun. So if you add that pressure, you're supposed to do that. So come and do it. Come and show how it's done. You know?
It always kills me when they're like, get up. Bro, listen to me. I promise you, if they could get up, they would get up. They don't want to sit there and get choked out. But
so I love like when the parents ended up like joining, so because they have like a better understanding and stuff, and they started to realize and be more proud of their kids, you know, because what they're doing is not easy, you know. They do such a good job, you know. Sometimes they improving, they get better. Sometimes you get like kids, they get there and they're like not very well coordinated. They even have like a hard time like to run on the mats, and then all of a sudden you see they're already fighting and doing good. You know, but sometimes the parents don't realize, and they always want like more, but they don't pay attention to those small steps, how far they come. Yeah, exactly. But they no, like, cause you're still losing and stuff. Yeah, but you couldn't walk, you couldn't run. Now you're fighting. You know, it doesn't matter that he's still kind of like other people giving him a hard time, and everybody has their limitation. Some people, they learn fast, some of them a little slowly, and it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as they're having fun.
It's always funny to me because I always I have to hold my tongue a lot. And that's why I don't, like, people are like, oh, you should come to this competition. I can't, because like for me, especially with kids, like when the parents are like, oh my God, like Jim, and like you'll hear, and it's like, bro, do you compete?
Do you train?
Like, do you train? You look,
You've been to that pressure
you look
before?
very obese. Well, because people don't understand. I remember my first Pan Ams. I'll be honest with you, dude, I lost in the first round, and it was on points. I've only been subbed one time ever, but it was on points. But the pressure, you got 10,000 people, and they're all screaming, and people are looking, and you're in the middle, and it's like, what in the world is going on?
That's why you see a lot of good guys, like very good jiu-jitsu, and when they get to the tournament, they don't perform as good.
But they're good in
because
class.
of the pressure, like we were talking before. They bring so much pressure into themselves. I need to perform good. I need to win. And then they ended up like not fighting well because they get so nervous, you know, and that let the nervousism affect them. They don't ended up like performing the best, you know. When you're trying to, how can I say, clear your mind, and you realize that you don't have to do anything, you're just going out there and do your best. Those are the times that you fight the best, you know. So it's a mental game.
Yeah,
like,
I learned that.
Whoever control this better, going with this mentality, and don't let the nervousism affect you. Everybody gets a little nervous. Get a little nervous is fine. Everybody do get a little butterflies before. On the day of the tournament, I wake up like not messing around, not playing.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to play. I'm more serious, more focused and stuff. But I don't let those things affect too much.
Yeah.
When I shake my opponent's hand.
I learned after that first year, though, to kind of put on that face. That next year, Aubrey came over, and I had won pants, and Aubrey was he was like, bro, I don't think after the match, he was like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody be as friendly as you are before, and then when you get on the mat, it's like a completely different.
You changed completely.
Oh yeah, I had to learn to flip that switch of turning off the emotion, because if you let that emotion control you while you're in the middle of a match, it gasses you out, and you're like,
and then after it's done, you with the gold money, you can invite the guys to together.
Then you can open up the gi a little bit up top. You're like, oh,
let's barbecue, let's hang out, right? And then it's fine, you know.
So going back to the fundamentals, what advice would you give to someone that's just starting to get into jiu-jitsu?
Somebody like that
wants to get into jiu-jitsu.
Man, I think they should definitely give it a try, give it a shot. Like we were talking before, jiu-jitsu is addicting, and so many benefits that it's gonna bring to your life. You know, you're gonna be able to get more confident, stand up for yourself, and not only like other aspects like your health. You know, you're gonna get in shape and learning to defend yourself. You never know when you're gonna need.
Something like that,
so,
yeah.
And then jiu-jitsu in general, like the environment, I think like is a great place to be.
Yeah,
you know?
I
have a lot of like good guys and examples, like, you know, of jiu-jitsu fighters.
It shifts. I tell people this all the time. You know, they say, you know, some people have sayings like jiu-jitsu helped change my life. I know for me, it completely shifted my mindset, because I was very much a hothead. And when you get in there and you get humbled, and there's
for sure, it's a humble sport.
There's some guys that you train with. So like, I remember the one time when Albert trained with you, and he was like, dude, there was nothing I could do. And I was like, bro, he was giving you like 0.1%. There's sometimes that you train with people like Master Carlos. I remember the last time before my injury, I trained with Master Carlos. He got me in a move. Bro, there was nothing, and I was in peak shape at that time. There was nothing that I could do. And I was like, well, what can I do? I asked him and he just kind of chuckled and was like, and let go. He basically was saying there's nothing you really could do. And I was just like, you know, so it's humbling. It changes
And
your life.
not to mention that Jiu-Jitsu is a big family, you know. We do have like the rivalry, like the teams and stuff, you know, in the tournaments. But everywhere you go, you're gonna get support from the Jiu-Jitsu community. You know?
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, you're gonna have like have friends and
It's very friendly.
somebody that can support you, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So looking back from the time you started, what is there anything that you would have ever changed with your jiu-jitsu career?
No, I don't think so. I think everything that from the beginning made me the guy that I am today. The struggles made me like stronger, you know, and then the losses, it made me like better. You know, I could grow with the losses and stuff. It only made me more experienced, you know. So
Yeah.
I think everything that I went through, it meant to be, you know.
Yeah, and iron sharpens iron, because I know.
And thank God I have like great memories from my journey, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the trips that I've made with my friends and stuff. I think those, like, jiu-jitsu is already addicting itself, like the fact you're competing and stuff. And I think that what made me more passionate about it is like I was able to travel like the world, you know, doing what I like and with the people that I love.
Yeah.
I think that's the best.
I know for me, it was always when I competed, people are like, oh, you went. And for me, it wasn't really that I was excited for me. I was excited that I was giving points to the team. And I think that's where it shifts your mindset about doing things just for self, but you're fighting for your teammates and the people that you train with.
And you learn to be happy, like, with the accomplishment of your friends as well.
Exactly.
Not just for yourself. I get really happy, like, when my friends get accomplished something, they win a tournament or anything like outside the mat. You know, we always like I say, we're family.
Yeah.
So we cheer for each other. You know?
Like I said, because when it popped up and said you were competing, we both were like, boo, let's
go.
Let's go.
So
I'm excited. That's awesome. That's coming.
I know, right? So we're gonna have a rapid fire question. So we're gonna ask a series of questions. You just say whoever pops into your mind first.
Okay.
You ready?
Who was your favorite fighter growing up?
Jiu-jitsu fighter?
Yeah.
Braulio Stima.
That's easy. Who's the toughest fighter that you ever faced in a competition?
Leandro Law.
Oh, I was gonna say definitely.
So if given the opportunity for a super fight, who would you like to compete against?
Man, there's a lot of guys that are gonna be compete. To be honest, I don't like to pick the how can I say, opponent, whatever. Like, if it's a super fight, I like to be invited, and then whoever they put like to compete, as long as like my weight and stuff, as long as everything makes sense. I love the challenge. You know?
Yeah.
Is there someone that you would want to like at least just kind of go against, just to see what you would compete? Like, if there's someone you could just roll with casually.
That I fought before, that I never...
That you never fought before. That would
fought
just
before.
pique your interest.
Man. Maybe Taina Daltra.
Yeah, that would be...
He's really good. I'm a big fan of him, and I watch all his matches and stuff, and it's really good.
Which fighter were you most excited about competing against in your career? Like, what person were you kind of like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm fixing to go against this guy? Was there ever a moment like that?
Like, Leandro Law was like always like a tough match that I had with him, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's well accomplished. He was very accomplished guy, and jiu-jitsu is like amazing. You know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Once you get to that level, everyone's top notch.
Yeah,
you know, you can only do so much. You know, which competitor that you've been against would you like to be friends with if you could?
I'm pretty much friends with everybody.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, everybody that I compete with. You know, I'm how can I say? I talk to them and stuff. I think the only one was kind of like Caron. He's kind of like,
it just wasn't wanting to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was a zombie...
But I have nothing against him.
Yeah.
If there was a zombie invasion, what one fighter would you want to be on your side?
Bochecha.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. That is a tank. That's 2 tanks right there. Mini tank and
Can I pick another one?
Yeah.
Jacaré.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Elite team right there.
That's a threesome right there, bro. That's deathly right there. So we know you're busy. We don't want to keep you all day. We're going to ask you one last question. This one's kind of deep, so if you need to think about it, think about it. If today was your last day, no more, what is the one thing that you want people to remember Otavio for?
That's a tough one. I don't know, like remember for the person that I am, you know? Yeah.
I know for me, a couple of things with that remembering. First of all is going through trials and tribulations and choosing to be in the right path, for me has always motivated me. And it's like we said before, I keep a very small circle just because, like I said before, when you hang with the wrong people, the wrong things happen. And I know for me, one of the reasons that I've always aligned with you and always, besides just jiu-jitsu, is because I've always admired the man that you are. And continually stepping up and being a man of God and kind of walking that faith and you know, in a world full of temptations and reasons to be anything but good, because at times it gets hard to do the right things, you continually choose that. So you'll forever have my love and admiration for that. And so I appreciate, I appreciate you.
I think for me is the humbleness.
Yeah, that's true.
The learning lessons of the losses that you face down the line. Like I can just imagine you going through your early competitions and you're always put in an uncomfortable position of competing with guys that were better than you. You know, you said when you're a yellow belt trying to compete to be a blue belt, you know, you're always pushing the envelope a little bit more and you're accepting of, hey, I might lose and that's okay. And the challenge is what it's about. And so I think the humbleness and knowing that you can lose, but it's more of just giving yourself the opportunity to compete, giving yourself the opportunity to perform at the highest level. And that's what being a human is. That's what being a man is just accepting what is and being who you are throughout all the adversities.
That's great words. Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you.
I would say the same too.
Yeah.
We got you, bro. We got you. So we'll go ahead and let you get out of here. Guys, if you are getting ready to train, number 1, Gracie Baja. Number 2, Gracie Baja in Huntington Beach. You get to go be under the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Otavio Sousa. Not only will you get great at jiu-jitsu, but you will be a better person for knowing him and his family. We appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're signing off, guys. We'll see you next week.